Hey folks, this is Matt once again, coming at you WrestleMania 5. The Mega Powers explode, where you did finally Hulk Hogan versus Macho Man Randy Savage, who were the Mega Powers tag team. Although I can't remember many actual tag team matches they had other than against the Million Dollar Man and such, and Andre, or against a team in Big Boss Man. Did they do any other tag team matches? I can't remember. I mean, that would have been cool, but that's the only two I can remember. And I thought this was a pretty good WrestleMania. I thought this was, of the first 5 I've watched, I would definitely say this is one of the best WrestleManias so far I've seen, and the 5 I watched. I think this and 3 are 2 of the best. And I'm not sure which I would choose between this and 3. Because this one had a lot of good stuff to it. I mean, even the opening match I don't think was too bad. You had Haku versus Hercules. 2 power guys. You have hip tosses, body slams. Other days a backbreaker. You have a power slam. Bat suplex. Hercules wins. So, oh, that's cool. They gave Hercules a win. And then I thought it was a decent enough match. 2 big guys going back and forth. It was a lot better than the Haku versus Harley Race and the last one I talked about, the Royal Rumble 89. Or 88, 89? No, 89. 89. Yeah, it was Royal Rumble 89. And I thought it was a fun, decent enough match to open it. Not bad at all. I thought Hercules did pretty decent. The next one was fun, the Twin Towers, which I know is a weird name to say now. But a team in the Big Boss Man versus the Rockers. And it was a fun match for me to watch because I liked the Rockers. They were a good tag team. Synchronized, fast, quick. Shawn Michaels even then showed the guy does have talent. He does. And I've said quite a few times I'm a fan of the Big Boss Man. And it was pretty much power versus quickness. Rockers were quick, the others were powerful. Bossman does a power bomb, and then a team does a splash, and they win. And it's like, it is weird that the Rockers were a good tag team, but I really cannot think of much matches they won on a pay-per-view. I really can, now that I think about it. They seemed like a great tag team, but it seemed like they would always lose. So, I thought that was kind of strange. But it was still, again, Rockers showed how good synchronized wrestling quick they were, and the other guys show how big and tough they are. And it was a fun enough match. Did not mind it at all. Did not mind it at all. So I'm like, okay, that's cool. There's first 2 matches I don't mind. That's pretty cool. Beefcake versus the Million Dollar Man. This is okay at first, but it has a shitty ending. You get some backdrops, some body slams, multiple body slams, clothesline over the ropes. Show that Beefcake was popular because the crowd was really for Brutus Beefcake. And I'm like, I don't mind this guy. I don't mind Brutus Beefcake. And, the crowd didn't mind him either. The Million Dollar Man, I love that punch that he does where he's like here. And it just goes all the way down. Just a weird punch that he's like this, straighten his arms, and your body just falls down. I'm like, it's a really weird but interesting way to do a punch, and it's unique, and I liked that. I like that kind of, the $1 million punch. Suplexes, but the ending is lame because it's a double count out. Double count out. Briefcake puts a sleeper on Virgil, who's the manservant of $1 Million Man, which is kind of racist if you think about it for 2 seconds. 1 second to be like, they did that, and second to be, yeah, they did do that. But and Virgil was pretty much there just to get beat up. Can't beat $1 Million Man, so beat up Virgil. Either if it's Jake, give him DDT on Virgil, or put Virgil on the sleeper. Poor Virgil. And then I remember when they tried to have him be a good guy, and Roddy Piper's going to help him out. You'll hear more about that down the road. Because, yeah, I might do until the end of '89, and then take a break. But I do want to come back and keep doing this. Again, unless a bunch of people say, no, keep going. But I know I don't want to bore everyone by doing this. But it's something I wanted to do. I like doing change of paces on stuff. Not just doing the same thing over and over again. And it's been fun watching these. Even if they're not great, it's retro. And I'm in the mood for retro. So I'm like, it was a decent enough match, but just a shitty, double count out. I hate that for a finish. The Bushwhackers versus the Ridgel Brothers. Really not much to say about it. Because I can't fucking remember it. The Bushwhackers, I think they were popular with the kids. They would lick each other's faces. They do that. And one would hit the other and do like a charge to hit a guy, which I'm like, that's fucking lame. There's no way that would hurt anyone. It doesn't look like it hurt anyone. It doesn't look like it would hurt a fucking third grader. I can't remember who the fuck won. I think the Bushwhackers won. Could have been mistaken, but I swear they did. Yeah, they did. It was probably the only win they'll ever get on a pay-per-view. Because they can't do much. They can't do anything. They cannot do anything but get beat up. So they were pretty useless. I mean, they were for the kids. But, yeah, they're just... I think they actually got into the Wrestling Hall of Fame. I'm like, really? The Bushwhackers? In the WWE Hall of Fame? Why? I don't understand why. Fuck, man. What's next? Is the Red Rooster going to get in the Hall of Fame? Or has he, without me knowing it? But, fuck that match. Mr. Perfect versus Blue Blazer. This was fun, because the Blue Blazer was actually Owen Hart. Mr. Perfect Owen Hart. He had reverse hip locks, body slams, drop kicks. Honestly, Mr. Perfect didn't do much, though. That's the thing. Pretty much like a forearm to the face. Does the perfect plex. I mean, that's my problem with it, is that you had some fun stuff. Owen Hart got to do some cool stuff, but Mr. Perfect didn't really do much. He did like 3 things in one. Just to show how strong Mr. Perfect is. Because I know he would have a match with Hogan, I believe, in 1990. I don't know if it was on a pay-per-view, but I do remember that happening because it's on one of the Hulk Hogan DVDs I have. I'm not sure if it's the Steel Rules or the other one I have. But, I mean, I would like to have Mr. Perfect do at least a bit more. Quite a bit more, to be honest. And you have moments like, the Bushwhackers were at the brunch, and Mr. Fuji is running the marathon. Like, whatever. Demolition versus Powers of Pain. They show the build-ups in Survivor Series where Mr. Fuji pulled down the ropes and one of the Demolition fell out and got eliminated. And Mr. Fuji went to Powers of Pain, so now Demolition are the good guys. It was decent, seeing these two big guys go at each other. Decent match, I liked it. They do their finishing move, the decap, on Mr. Fuji. And Demolition does win. So, decent enough match. Dino Bravo versus Ronnie Garvin. For some reason, I don't understand why during this match, or during this time, Jimmy Superfly Snuka is coming out and gets introduced. That was confusing. So we're doing for Dino Bravo versus Ronnie Garvin. By the way, let's introduce Jimmy Superfly Snuka. Come on. We're introducing him. I'm like, why? Match isn't nothing. Ronnie Garvin loses, but does his stomp on the manager, which is it looks like a painful stomp because the person on the ground, he's literally stomping on their hands, arms, shoulders, like against their face, all 360 around the person's body. And I'm like, that looks painful, especially on the face. It is like, ugh, like all over your body. It's like unique finishing move, I will say, but he didn't. He used it on the manager and he lost. Brainbusters, Arn Anderson, I forget the other guy's name, versus Strike Force, Tito Santana, Rip Martel. Alright, really the point was Tito accidentally hitting Rip Martel with a forearm, and then Rip Martel leaves and says fuck it, and thus Tito Santana loses and splits him up, and this is where Rip Martel will become Rick the Model Martel, which I do remember seeing as a kid in early like taped wrestling videos that my aunt would send, because we didn't have cable, and he was always have that fragrance, and either Jake the Snake or Tatanka or whoever the hell he was fighting against. This is my fragrance. I forget what the fuck he called that. I'm sure I'll find it later, but I forgot what the fuck he called that. That thing he had. Or the perfume. I forgot what the hell. I'm sure someone will write down below. Feel free. So, I mean, so far, I like the Haku versus Hercules. Twin Towers versus the Rockers. BT versus $1 Million Man was okay, but shitty finish. Bushwhackers versus Rougeau Brothers. Fuck it. Fuck him. Fuck them. Mr. Perfect versus Blue Blazer. Owen Hart. Should have had Mr. Perfect do a bit more, but it was a nice sort of short little match. But Mr. Perfect needed to do more. Demolition for Powers of Pain, decent. Dino Bravo versus Ronnie Garvin, nothing to it. Brain Brothers versus Strike Force, yeah. This was a fun segment because Roddy Piper came back because he had retired after WrestleMania 3 to do movies like They Live. I think at that time he had done Hell Comes to Fraud Town. And so 89 comes around, he comes back and does his show. And Brother Love had kind of taken over for doing that kind of stuff. And you also have Morton Downey Jr., who I remember from Predator 2. And he was a guy who was just, an asshole. And that was a fun segment. It seemed like the crowd wasn't into it, which is a shame. I remember hearing someone, "What is this shit?" or something like that. I swear, if you watch that and you listen, there's a guy like shouting, "This is bullshit," or "What is this shit?" or "This is stupid." I think that's what they said. This is stupid. So the crowd was not getting into it, which is a shame. I really enjoyed it though. But I think the crowd today would have gotten into it. And also I miss Roddy Piper. But it's like, what the fuck? I mean, it's like these people, I don't know what the fuck it was. I don't know what the deal was, but I was enjoying it. Roddy Piper was ready to beat the fuck out of Brother Love and didn't piss at Morton Downey for throwing cigarettes at him and stop blowing the smoke in my face. And he unleashes a fire extinguisher and blows it right into Morton Downey's face. I remember a story that Roddy Piper told where there's a moment where, if you watch, Morton Downey, when he gets sprayed, grabs Roddy Piper's leg, and you see that Roddy Piper has a fire extinguisher as if he's going to hit him. And then he tells a story like someone said, "No, don't hit him." Because I guess that's instinct for Roddy. And then he was going to hit him with the fire extinguisher. To Roddy Piper, we miss you. I really, really do miss him. That's one of him and Wes Craven are the ones that hit me the most. I mean, there's some others like James Horner and Paul Walker and Leonard Nimoy. But if I had to pick the two that hit me the most, it was Wes Craven and Roddy Piper. Just, we miss him, man. So it was nice to see him in that. And then Mean Gene, or I want to call him Gene Mean because that's what the Iron Sheik did. And when he said that, I forget which pay-per-view it was that I talked about. I loved it. You know Gene Mean. It's Mean Gene. You know Gene Mean. So I just want to call him Gene Mean. Gene Mean. Talking about Hogan's film, No Holds Barred. Here's a sneak preview. It's going to be the biggest hit. Of course, we all know what happened with No Holds Barred. No refund allowed. But, and they do a cool thing. They do an overview of what led up to the Hogan Savage feud. Hogan winning WrestleMania 4, the Mega Powers, some of the stuff like Miss Elizabeth hugging Hogan. It's at the Royal Rumble. There's a tag team match between them, a team and Big Boss Man, and Macho Man got thrown and toppled on Miss Elizabeth, and Hogan carried her back. And Macho got pissed off, says, "What the hell's the deal here?" The breakup and so forth. Hogan, I thought, gave a great promo. I do think Hogan gave great promos. They had great presence to him. They had the Jake versus Andre, which I like Jake the Snake Roberts, but like I said before, I thought it was a feud that Jake shouldn't have been put in because I think it didn't do much for him. Because like even this match, he didn't get to do too much. He had to fight back a little bit, but Big John Studd was the ref, and of course him and Andre have history from the fight at WrestleMania 1. And mostly, you know, Andre chokes him and chokes him. You get some punches. Jake is able to do some punches back, kicks, rams him into the turnbuckle with no pad. And it's just, the ending was lame. $1 Million Man stole the stage, and Jake the Snake beat him up and got the state back. Big John Studd gets pushed by Andre. Studd pushes back. Andre's choking Studd. And then when Jake gets his snake back, he throws it, which Andre lets go and runs away. And Jake the Snake wins by disqualification since Andre choked the referee, aka Big John Studd. It's like, it just was lame, and it's like you can't have Andre lose 1, 2, 3 pin from a guy like Jake the Snake. And having Jake the Snake lose would be pretty shitty, so it's gotta be disqualification. And it was like more about Andre and Big John Studd. I don't know, maybe after they were going to put him into a feud, I don't know. With Big John Studd as the good guy, I don't know. Just wouldn't care either. It just, I don't know, just thought it was a lame ending. Hart Foundation versus Honky Tonk Man, Great Valentine. I thought this was a fun match. It was fast paced. Hart Foundation wins. Thought that was a good one. Rick Rude versus Warrior. It was okay, but left a bit to be desired. And I think the rematch they have in SummerSlam was a much, much better match. It was a much more fun match. This one, I mean, he's throwing Rude around. Rude does a dropkick to Warrior's face. You get some body slams, a bear hug, a backdrop. Other does a pile driver, and Warrior does a chin breaker, flying tackle, big body shoves. There is a fuck up as well where you see Warrior pick up Rude, and it looks like he trips and drops Rude down. And I'm like, that's a big fuck up. That's a big folly. So that didn't help the match either. I know that's not abnormal in a Warrior match. But I think most matches he actually does better than people give him credit for. But that one, it was a fuck up. And it was pretty lame fuck up, too. Especially when it's WrestleMania. Because he like picks him up and oh shit. And then Rick Rude wins because Bobby Heenan held the lead so Warrior couldn't kick out. I was going to say Hogan. Probably did and fucked up, but held a Warrior's lead so Rude won and became the new Intercontinental Champion. And it's to set up the match in SummerSlam. But it's just, Warrior has a good WrestleMania match next year with Hogan. And I think his best match is the one with Macho Man, WrestleMania 7. I love that match. And the SummerSlam match in '89, I think, is a much better match. This one, I like the two. It's okay. Left a bit to be desired, and I thought the rematch was a better match. So there's that. Jim Duggan versus Bad News Brown, worthless. Jim Duggan avoids the Ghetto Blaster, which is the two ladies that are going to kick him in the head. Duggan avoids it, does his football clothesline, and double disqualification. Because Duggan is not going to be pinned much clean 1, 2, 3. Bad News Brown is not going to be pinned clean 1, 2, 3. So you gotta have a DQ and thus a double DQ. Because like one gets a chair, the other gets the board, his 2x4, just lame, useless match. And then you have like a 2-3 minute match where the Red Rooster defeats Bobby Heenan, who has the Brooklyn Brawler with him, who's another jobber. And Rooster wins in like 30 seconds. The more I think about it, was about 30 seconds. So it's like, who gives a shit about the Red Rooster? No one did. He looked stupid with his fucking red hair thing. I'm like, what did he do to piss Vince McMahon or whoever the fuck off to have that? Like, who did he piss off? Did he piss in someone's cereal? Did he come in Vince McMahon's coffee and he found out? What happened? But I will say, I'd probably say I like this more than the WrestleMania 3. So, of the first 5 WrestleManias, I would say, and I know there's one more match that I'll get to. Of the first 5, I would say this is the best. And WrestleMania 3 would be the second best. And the worst, it might be WrestleMania 4 that I liked the least. Because the finale wasn't really Macho Man's win and determined. Could work, I think, but just a lot of forgettable matches and it felt long. But I think this is the best of the 5 because WrestleMania 3, I love the Randy Savage versus Steamboat match. And reading up, I know some people felt that it was a bit overrated. I disagree. But I mean, they were nice about it too. They were nice. They said, no, it's a good match, but it's not like 5 out of 5. They give it like 4 out of 5. I'm like, that's cool. That's cool either way. Andre versus Hogan, I would say, is overrated, though. I would agree with that. I think I did say that. But I will say, I like the Hogan versus Savage match. But I mean, I was... and they were very nice about it. They let me know that there's like Jim Crockett promotion and such. They were having pretty good matches that were like that or better than. And I didn't grow up with that. I really honestly haven't seen too many of those. And maybe they're on YouTube, but I don't really have much of those, to be honest. I mean, I have my Legacy of the AWA and Legends of Mid-South Wrestling and so forth. Starcade, the Essential Collection, as it calls it. But I do like the Savage, Steamboat, and Jake the Snake, his match with Alice Cooper in there. And Roddy Piper versus Adrian Adonis. So I do like it, but it's considered the iconic one. I'm like, it's a little bit overrated, a little bit. Like, I would put this one above it. Because, again, I liked Hulk versus Haku versus Hercules, I liked. Twin Towers versus Rockers, I liked. Big T versus Million Dollar Man, I didn't care for the ending, but overall I thought it was okay. Mr. Perfect versus Blue Blazer, I thought it could have been a bit longer and have Mr. Perfect do more, but it was okay. Demolition versus Powers Pain, I didn't mind. Jade versus Andre, and Hart Foundation for the Honky Tonk Valentine was fun. Rick Rude Warrior was okay. There's only a couple matches I didn't care for, like the Bushwhackers one I didn't care for. Brain Brothers vs. Strike Force was there. Dino Bravo vs. Roddy Garvin didn't really care for. Jade vs. Andre, I think more could have been done. Jim Dillon vs. Bad News Brown didn't care for. But this one, I felt it went a bit faster. I felt it had a better ratio of matches I didn't mind. And I enjoyed the main event, Hogan versus Savage. I thought that was a fun event. Because Hogan could do what he could play to the crowd, and Macho Man does great matches, and I thought it was a fun match. You know, again, I would say I like the Hogan. I'd probably say I like the WrestleMania 7 match between Macho and Ultimate Warrior. I like more. I gotta say, I like a lot more. But this I liked. I thought it was a good match. You know, they worked well with each other. And you have that build up in history, so that worked for it. And I mean, if anyone's watching this, you've seen Hogan versus Savage, and nothing I say could add to it. I thought it was a pretty damn decent match. And Macho Man, you know, we miss you as well as Roddy Piper. We miss him, man. I wish he was still around. He was like the one guy that never went back to WWF, and maybe he never would have been able to even if he was still alive. But that would have been fun to see him maybe one more time in the WWE at that point. But, of course, that never happened. But I think that's why, because I like Macho Man, I miss him. He worked well with Hogan, and the crowd was getting into it. I had a fun time with that match. And overall, I liked it. I know I repeat myself, but I usually repeat myself just for the fuck of it. Of the first 5, I would say this is my favorite WrestleMania so far. Pay-per-view, I don't know, there's some I like more than others, but I would say this is one of the better pay-per-views of the stuff I've been doing, and definitely the best WrestleMania so far. So, yeah, I'll put this, the WrestleMania 3, and then I know people get pissed, but I would put WrestleMania 2 because I do. The NFL Battle Royal is one of my very first wrestling memories, and I enjoy it. I like the Hogan King Kong Bundy, and it was interesting, different enough for me. But I mean, there's a lot of problems too. I even said that in the video. And then I probably put 1 and then 4. Like, honestly, the more I think about it, 4 is my least favorite because there's not a single match I can remember from Part 4. For WrestleMania 4. Part 4. It's like a movie review. I can't remember anything from WrestleMania 4. I do think that's the worst one I've seen so far. And it did feel the longest. So, yeah, I put the first 5, 3, I know I would put 2, then 1, and then 4. But yeah, definitely thought of WrestleMania 5. And stay tuned for the next, which I really enjoyed, the next one. SummerSlam 89, really enjoyed it. I mean, I'll talk more about in that video, but SummerSlam 89 is actually one of my favorite pay-per-views so far. I'll get more into why, but stay tuned for that later.